Anyway, let's go to the phones. We have Martin in Washington. Martin, are you there?
I sure am.
Martin, are you in D.C. or Washington State?
Washington State.
Washington State. What's going on, Martin?
You said something right at the beginning of the program that's a perfect segue into why I wanted to call tonight, and about the possibility of Israel's somehow touching off a nuclear war.
Right.
It's possible some of your readers, some of your listeners, aren't familiar with the Samson option, and they might benefit from your explaining it to them, and also your views on whether it's real or not. Do they actually have missiles aimed everywhere? If Israel is taken down, the whole world goes.
Martin, that's a very, very interesting question. That's, okay.
Why don't I get off the
Samson
phone?
Option.
Why don't I get off the phone so you can talk about it?
Thanks for that call, Martin. Very good call. Two very good questions. The Samson Option happens to be the title of a book by a Jewish-American journalist, Seymour Hersh, who's won the Pulitzer Prize. He's a very good journalist. He's been called anti-Zionist. He certainly has been a critic of Israel. And believe it or not, just for those who might want to know it, Seymour Hersh wrote in the New Yorker right after the 9/11 terrorist attacks something that no one seems to have ever noticed except me for some reason. One of these odd little things he wrote in the New Yorker that his sources in the FBI and in the intelligence community said that the material found in the cars of the hijackers, the alleged 911 hijackers parked at the airport, that it seemed as though that evidence, quote unquote, had been planted. Interesting, isn't that, folks? The material that made the hijackers look like the big bad Muslims appeared to have been planted. But that's just one thing that Seymour Hersh has written, many, many things. But as I say, his book, The Samson Option, which oddly enough I just happen to be looking at today, in fact, it's in my briefcase right now, is a book about, and it was the first book about, Israel's long secret nuclear weapons program. It's a very revealing book. Subsequent books have been written, Israel and the Bomb by Israeli writer Avner Cohen, and The Bomb in the Basement by yet another Israeli writer, Michael Karpin. Also, Mark Gaffney has written a good book on the Israeli nuclear bomb. I believe the title is The Third Temple, but Mr. Gaffney will forgive me if I didn't get the title right. But another interesting book on the subject. In any case, The Samson Option is a very interesting title for this book about Israel's nuclear weapons program, because the Samson Option is the foundation of Israel's nuclear weapons program, which incidentally Israeli leader David Ben-Gurion considered to be sacred. The Israeli leader considered the Israeli nuclear weapons program to be sacred. That's a very interesting turn of phrase, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know of any other country or any other leader of the world who would consider a weapon of mass destruction to be sacred, but the founding father of Israel considered it to be. The Samson Option refers to Samson in the Bible. You'll recall that Samson committed suicide by bringing down the temple and killing his tormentors with him. Well, this is what the Samson Option is in Israel. They have their nuclear weapons, and they say that if they are going to go down, they're going to take the whole world down with them. Mass suicide. We hear about suicide bombers from the Muslim world, but my God, here's a nation that's entire national defense policy is founded on the concept that the nation will itself commit suicide if it appears that they're going to be overrun by their enemies. Now, you know, when human beings attempt suicide, now I consider suicide to be a perfectly rational act if one does it in a sane sense of mind. Some people make a decision that they are going to end their lives because they're in pain or they can't take it anymore or their husband left them or their wife left them, whatever reason. Suicide is condemned for religious reasons, of course. Others would say it should be condemned for moral reasons, what have you. But isn't it interesting that a nation has founded its defense policy, its this policy regarding weapons of mass destruction, on the concept of national suicide? And the irony, of course, here is that Israel is a nation that considers itself beyond, above, one step above the rest of the world. But they are prepared not only to kill themselves, but kill everybody else. Martin van Creveld, an Israeli military tactician and historian, often quoted in the press, alluded to the fact that Israel has bombs, nuclear bombs, pointed at Rome. Now, a lot of people out there who don't like the Vatican might like that. But you know, when an Israeli tactician talks about a nuclear missile aimed at Rome, what more can you read into it than that? Now, the question, so the bottom line is this Samson option is a pretty scary thing. This is a country willing to not only kill itself, but take the whole world down with it. That's pretty nasty, folks, and that's an understatement. Now, our caller asked another question. Does Israel really have these bombs? Well, you know, the books all say it does, and everybody says, yes, Israel has bombs. Jane's Intelligence Weekly said years ago Israel had the bomb. But I will tell you this, folks. I've talked to more than a few well-informed people, and when I'm saying well-informed people, I'm talking about people with very serious connections internationally. There have been a number of people who have suggested to me that, in fact, it could very well be a bluff. Maybe Israel really doesn't have the bomb, but they sure want people to think they do. Now, I don't necessarily buy that, folks, and I'm not saying that they don't have the bomb, but, you know, I'm answering that question from Martin. I don't know, and I wouldn't even try to pretend to know, but I'm just saying that there are a few people that I've talked to, and that probably means there's a lot of other people out there who think otherwise. I don't know. What do you think?